Ty Murray was destined to be a rodeo champion.
I dead set knew exactly what I was going to be and what I was going to do.
Ty is cowboy through and through.
John Wayne was an actor. Ty really is John Wayne.
No one had seen a champion come along like Ty was.
The bigger the bull, the wilder the ride, the better he looked.
But his path to glory was beset by adversity.
Ty Murray would be challenged like any other all-time great champion.
You think, how much more can he handle? Will he ever come back?
Ty Murray is back in 1998 after a 3-year absence.
Every kid that wants to be an athlete, they dream of that moment where the bases are loaded, bottom of the ninth, and there's 2 outs, and they're down by 3 runs, and they're the ones stepping up to the plate. You know, that one defining moment where this is the chance to see what you're made of.
What'll Ty Murray do for us to start it off? He'll make us stand and he'll make us proud. Texas Ty has come back.
I think very few athletes get that opportunity. I feel real fortunate that I got that opportunity.
Going for an unprecedented 7th all-around title as well.
I had a bull by the name of Hard Copy. He probably weighed about 2,200 pounds, and I had to ride this bull to realize my lifelong dream and win my 7th all-around world championship.
Ty Murray is ready to ride!
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
(1969). The nation is in a state of upheaval. Yet parts of the country seemed immune to the societal change. In October, near Phoenix, Arizona, Ty Murray became the newest cowboy in the Murray clan.
Little boys have just always fascinated me. Of course, I wanted a cowboy, so we found boots about that big, little shirt and stuff, and put his boots on him, and that was my cowboy.
From day one, he was definitely a cowboy.
His first words was he was a bull rider. I'm a bull rider.
He would pretend like everything was a bull. He would ride my mom's sewing machine case, the arm of the couch. Friends of ours who would come over to visit, Ty would make him be a bull.
We had this Australian Shepherd dog named Freckles. I mean, I guess I used to try to rope her all the time. And I come around the corner of the house there and throwed my rope and tried to catch that dog, and I missed. And Mom said, did you catch her, honey? And I looked at Mom and I said, no, I missed that son of a bitch.
And I jerked off my belt, and I said, don't you ever, ever say that word.
And I said, Dad, whatever you do, don't say son of a bitch in front of Mom, because she don't like it. I'd buy calves every year, and Ty was between 2 and 2.5, I suppose, and he wanted to ride one. So his mom and I decided to let him on, but I told her, well, I'm going to run along beside him and hold on to his belt.
We would go through the whole spiel of the rodeo. I would announce, you know, we were at the national finals, and this was Ty Murray coming up in chute 1.
My mom would count, she called them alligators, and she'd count to 8.
1 alligator, 2 alligator, 3 alligator.
If I started going off on the side a little bit, she'd always speed the alligators up for me.
6 over 8, you made it!
I always won. And one day when he was about 3, he told me he didn't need me no more. That's when he started riding without old Dad hanging on to him. He took some spills. He'd get up and dust himself off, and we'd do it again. You know, I know throughout my professional career, there were times that I was wishing I had somebody holding my belt.
At the age of 5, Ty won his first rodeo. He won a belt buckle and a check for $39.
He tried to give them the check back. He just wanted the buckle. They said, no, the check's yours, so he brought it to me.
He gave it to his dad, and he said, Dad, go buy us a CB and a Winnebago.
Ty continued his winning ways on the junior rodeo circuit. At age 9, he rode his first bull and won the competition. 2 weeks later, a different bull bucked Ty off and broke his jaw.
His doctor was trying to be real nice. He said, well, Ty, he said, you've broken your jaw. He said, what we're gonna have to do is we'll put you to sleep.
He was scared because the only thing he had ever heard of being put to sleep was animals. So he thought he was never going to wake up.
And they said I jumped up out of that chair and started telling them it ain't that bad.
Just a few weeks later, wearing a football helmet to protect his jaw, Ty would win the bull riding at the junior rodeo finals.
He just was a rough, tough little bull rider. Everybody knew it.
When you grow up looking up to cowboys, you admire and look up to toughness and being fearless. Those are all the qualities that make up what a cowboy is and what a cowboy does.
The rodeo cowboy that Ty admired the most was Larry Mahan.
In 5th grade, Ty's teacher had passed out questionnaires to all the kids.
One of the questions was, if you could do anything in your life, what would it be? And I wrote, I want to break Larry Mahan's record.
Had I known that that was his goal and vision, I would have called Don Corleone. Would have put him out of commission early in the game.
Larry Mahan was a legend in the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. Riding bulls, bareback, and saddle bronc horses, Mahan won the PRCA's most prestigious award of all-around cowboy, a record 6 times.
Well, Larry Mahan was the most famous cowboy of that era. He was especially my hero because he did the 3 rough stock events, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to ride bulls and bareback horses and saddle bronc horses.
From the age of 9, Ty won the Arizona Junior Rodeo all-around title 9 years in a row. Mahan was so impressed, he invited Ty to spend the summer at his ranch in Colorado.
You know, they could have told me Jesus was coming to town and I was going to Mahan. And I'd be like a kid that dreams of playing basketball and having Michael Jordan call him up one day and saying, young man, this is Michael Jordan, why don't you come live with me this summer? You know, that's like, holy Larry Mahan.
I definitely saw Ty as a young man that had a lot of talent. I thought it would be a lot of fun to hang out with a young kid like that and just see where he's coming from.
He taught me a ton of stuff, but he didn't teach me anything about riding. You know, he taught me things about being a man.
he made it. He survived Saddle Sore Ranch.
I think Larry knew what Ty was going to become. I mean, everybody knew.
Tough and Cody were standing right there, and as I come running around the corner, I could tell by the look on their face, you know, both of them, they were just pale as ghosts.
If you aren't focused right, 8 seconds can be pure hell. No other way to look. Ty Murray rode 8 seconds after 8 seconds after 8 seconds with the tip of his finger.
In professional rodeo, there are 7 separate events: individual and team calf roping, and steer wrestling and roping, comprise the 4 timed events in which the fastest cowboy wins. In the 3 rough stock events of bull, saddle bronc, and bareback riding, competitors must ride for 8 seconds in order to score. Judges then award up to 50 style points for the rider and up to 50 for the animal.
And the biggest score tonight, 84 points for Mr. Murray.
Rough stock events are a lot more dangerous and a lot more strain on your body. You can be the greatest there is out there and still get killed. That's how dangerous it is.
Cowboys compete in events all year long, earning money that goes towards qualifying for the year-ending National Finals Rodeo. World titles are then awarded in each of the 7 events. But the most prestigious title of all-around cowboy goes to the individual with the most money earned in multiple events. The title Larry Mahan had won a record 6 times.
Bareback, saddle bronc, and bull riding, the 3 events that I loved and competed in, and the 3 events that Ty excelled in, those are the dangerous games.
I wanted to be equally as good in 3 events. I wanted to try to win all-around championships. But learning how to do that day in and day out, you know, that was a trick.
Throughout his high school years in Arizona, Ty's training consisted of methods both conventional and unexpected.
Well, when I was a kid, I was watching the gymnastics. It really struck me as those guys would make good bull riders because of their flexibility and their agility. And I wanted to learn that, and I wanted to get good at that because I knew that that would help my riding.
Ty's diligence paid off. He won the National High School Championship bareback and all-around as a senior. The next year, he began attending Odessa College.
Jim Sharp went to college at Odessa. I thought he rode better than anybody I'd ever seen. The coach said that Jim was going out of school and he wanted to bring me in to replace him, and I was pretty flattered by that.
I went to Odessa College for 3 years, and you know, it was time for me to go, and they just wanted a great cowboy, and they picked the right one.
In rodeo, unlike in other collegiate sports, amateur athletes are allowed to earn money at professional events and still maintain their collegiate eligibility. When Ty turned 18, at the beginning of his freshman year, he became eligible for the PRCA.
As soon as I turned 18, I wanted to get my Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association permit, try to give it a go to see what I could do there.
Riding in the last 3 rodeos of 1987, Ty earned the required amount to regularly compete the next year. Now needing a fellow cowboy to help with scheduling and expenses, he became fellow rough stock rider Cody Lambert's touring partner.
Cody Lambert was a veteran and a famous great cowboy. He was a guy that I had known from childhood.
I'd heard about him and read about him as a kid, and I wanted to rodeo with someone that had that kind of intensity level.
Cody took him in and, you know, kind of showed him the ropes.
From the time I turned 18, we were together day in and day out.
Ty's rookie year, he needed some help. He was 18 years old. He'd just gone off to college, and everything was new to Ty. It felt like I had to tell him when to get up, when to go to bed.
He'd tell me how lazy and stupid and worthless I was, I think, every single morning there.
I'd say, Ty, get your ass out of bed. You little stupid mother, get up.
Cody's been the brother that Ty never had. He just took Ty under his wings, gave him heck the whole time. But Cody taught Ty a lot.
Cody welcomed Ty into the inner circle of the best rough stock riders on tour. Jim Sharp, Tuff Hedeman, and Lane Frost.
Ty and I had gotten really close. Lane, Tuff, Jim, we were all really close friends.
You know, I watched Ty and how he rode and his determination, and I figured he'd probably be a world champion.
Ty quickly met everyone's expectations. He was named PRCA Rookie of the Year in bareback and the all-important all-around. And as a freshman at Odessa College, he was the Intercollegiate Rookie of the Year.
I can remember watching him the first few times in competition, and he was ahead above all else in his class. Perfect size, right heart. If he weighed 145 pounds, 100 of it was heart.
But despite great success in his rookie campaign, Ty didn't win enough money to compete in the season's grand finale, the National Finals Rodeo, where only the top 15 cowboys in each event qualify.
Kind of a disappointing year for me because, you know, Cody, Tuff, and Jim and Lane, they qualified to the National Finals, which is, you know, it's our Super Bowl or our World Series. I remember, you know, having no doubt in my mind that I would be there the next year.
Texas, where are you?
1989 was a banner year for Ty Murray. As a sophomore, he won the Intercollegiate National Championship in saddle bronc, bull riding, and the all-around.
Our Texas man, holy mackerel, Texas!
His Odessa team won the national title, and by mid-season on the PRCA, he was the leading money winner. His sights were now squarely set on the National Finals Rodeo.
I was having a pretty good year. It was going along pretty good there. And we were in Cheyenne, me and Tuff and Jim and Cody and Lane. Without a doubt, one of the toughest guys that I'd ever had a chance to be around. And Lane drew a bull named Taking Care of Business, who was one of the great bulls of that time.
No one had ever ridden him before. And then Lane came out and made a great ride. He got off, the bull turned around and ran over the top of him and just put his horn right on Lane's back. And he got up and waved that he needed some help, and we knew he was hurt really bad. Then he collapsed.
Tuff and Cody were standing right there, and as I come running around the corner, I could tell by the look on their face, you know, both of them, they were just pale as ghosts.
He was dead before he left the arena. We were all there together, Ty, Jim Sharp, Tuff, me, and we were numb.
One of our best friends and traveling partner, he was dead and gone. For that to sink in and realize that you're never going to see him again, and the jokes that he played and all the laughing that we did, that was all gone. It was history, over. Ty called us immediately after it happened and said he wanted to come home.
I just remember hearing my brother tell Cody how much he loved him. And, you know, he didn't have a chance to tell Lane that. And he wanted Cody to know that.
It's hard to talk about because this is something that we think about a lot, but I've never had to come out and just talk about it like this.
The whole rest of that year was kind of hard on everybody in the whole business of rodeo. But at the end of the day, you know, the bulls and the horses, they don't know or care. You have to be able to get in a place, you know, every time you ride that it's back to business, because you are talking about a seriously dangerous sport. You can't describe how much pain it was. It felt like if I didn't have skin, the bottom part of my leg would have fell off. And at that point, you wonder, you know, if you're ever going to be able to ride again.
People love dangerous sports. I mean, that's what drew people to the game of rodeo. The rodeo game is, without a doubt, one of the most dangerous games in the American sporting scene.
This is a physically demanding, very frightening industry, and it provides opportunity for injury constantly.
In July of 1989, Ty watched Lane Frost die in the rodeo ring. Ty left the tour for a few weeks to grieve his friend's death. Soon after he returned, he regained the lead in the all-around standings. Making good on his promise, Ty qualified for the season-ending National Finals Rodeo in saddle bronc and bareback riding.
Las Vegas, are we ready?
Your first time at the NFR, it's so exciting. Something that you've dreamed of ever since you can remember, to ride in that rodeo.
Ty Murray making a good ride on a big, strong horse.
Ty prevailed in a close race and became the youngest all-around champion in the history of the PRCA.
You're the all-around champion, Ty Murray.
Youngest ever in the Guinness Book of World Records. I'll tell my friends that and he'll say, Mom, don't tell him that. I said, well, I'm proud of it.
Very impressive to beat everyone for the whole year. If you're 19 or if you're 29, that means you're the best.
It was the greatest feeling in the world. I was just ready to go again. I wanted to break Larry Mahan's record, so pretty much I had one down and 6 to go.
What about it? What about it? Did you like it? Ho, 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 buddy.
His life really started changing. So everybody wanted a piece of him. The boot makers, the jean makers, the hat makers, anything to do with rodeo wanted Ty Murray.
I turned more or less just about all of them down.
Turning down an endorsement, what's wrong with that? Whatever you decide you're worth, that sets the price for me and all the other guys.
I saw the value that it had when I was a kid. Whatever kind of hat Larry Mahan was wearing, that was the kind of hat I was going to wear. I realized the fact that these companies weren't just giving you all this stuff because they thought you were a nice guy.
To handle the deluge of offers, Ty did what only a precious few rodeo cowboys had done before him. He hired an agent.
I think a lot of people scoffed at that idea. You know, maybe, oh, he thinks he's great, or he thinks he's Hollywood.
It was brilliant on his part to make a decision to get an agent. He was a rodeo cowboy guy. What do we know about crossing the T's and dotting the I's?
Ty did take a lot of flack for that, but I think in the long run, it's worked in his benefit.
Ty would eventually sign some of the biggest endorsement deals in rodeo cowboy history.
This thing's tasty, Bob.
Sponsors realized that in Ty, that he wasn't just another champion. We put some deals together that I think elevated the sport.
He wrote a recipe of success for many other young people who paid attention to what he did and have followed in his footsteps.
I told you he was smart. I told you he made the dean's list.
When those endorsement deals started to come in, the thing that I was hoping that he would never lose was his desire to be a cowboy every day, because that was really what made him.
Ty proved that he was as determined as ever. In 1990, for the second straight year, he was the PRCA's all-around champion.
Winning your first all-around title is tough, but doing it consecutively, back to back, and again, and again, and again, that's even tougher.
Ty would repeat as all-around champion in 91 and 92. In 1993, he won his first bull riding title and his 5th consecutive all-around. He was on top of the rodeo world and closing in on Larry Mahan's record. But his success came at a price.
I've heard rumors all different times in my life that I'm addicted to cocaine and in drug rehab, and I've never tried any kind of drug.
There are guys out there that are jealous of him. Plenty of people out there that were really impressed and amazed by how great he was, but the first day that he got bucked off one that he shouldn't have got bucked off of, they'd say, I knew it couldn't last.
Ty also dealt with the sometimes contentious media.
I've had journalists insult me, try to rile me up. There was a rider that wrote for the Denver Post, he would say, and just try to piss me off. And finally, I got to the point where I was like, hey, you know what? How about you? So the next day, an article came out, that I was washed up and, I was frazzled. And the only thing I was frazzled about was him. He was just on my last nerve.
Other than a few minor speed bumps, Ty's career was progressing exactly as he had pictured it as a child. In 1994, he tied Larry Mahan's record by winning his 6th all-around title.
Hello, Las Vegas! Awesome! One more time!
To win 6 all-around, to pound yourself and go that hard and win 6 of them is a tremendous accomplishment.
When Ty won his 6th, I mean, to me it was inevitable that he was going to win 7.
Starting the 95 season, I could definitely taste the 7th.
But the record-breaking 7th would prove to be especially elusive.
I was at a bull riding out in California, got on a bull and tore my PCL ligament in my right knee. Can't describe how much pain it was. It felt like if I didn't have skin, the bottom part of my leg would have fell off. I remember they took me over to the medicine room there. I had the things going through my mind of, that my season's history. I could hear this little voice saying, Mr. Murray, and I feel this, something hit me on the forehead like doink, doink, doink. And I turned around and looked, and there was a little kid outside who had a poster of me rolled up that he was wanting me to sign, and he found a crack in the tent. He was reaching through the crack in the tent, hitting me on the forehead to get me to sign his poster. I knew that it was an injury that was bad enough that the season was history, but when you're talking about being an athlete and a knee injury that bad, that becomes career-threatening. And at that point, you wonder, if you're ever going to be able to ride again. To miss 1 year was pretty devastating, and then to know that I was going to have to miss 2 years in a row, that was a pretty hard hit.
How much more can he handle? Will he ever come back?
Rodeo takes a toll on your body. I always tried to stay in great shape, but you're talking about a tough sport. You're talking about a very physically demanding sport.
In 1991, Ty partially tore the ACL in his left knee. He chose to skip surgery so he could continue to ride. But 4 years later, when he completely tore the PCL in his other knee, Ty decided to have both reconstructed.
But I knew I was going to be out for at least a year, so I told him to go ahead and do both knees.
For the first time since he was a small child, Ty had no rodeo to attend.
I remember thinking that, it might be good to get away from it for a while because, for one, it's all I'd ever done. I tried to look at it like, hey, this time off will get me freshened back up.
While getting his body back in form, Ty was able to fulfill a lifelong dream. He bought a 2,000-acre ranch in Stevensville, Texas, home to several pro rodeo cowboys.
The money that he had been winning all these years rodeoing, he didn't go out and buy new vehicles and fancy clothes. He was putting it in the bank for a ranch, saved everything.
There's a lot of things I love about this ranch. The peace and the privacy, and the quietness and the beauty and the trees and the lakes and the rivers and the streams. The fishing here is great. I got two big lakes. I love running the cows and I love riding my horses and starting colts. And if you like riding horses, this place is like Disneyland.
Ty is cowboy through and through. And this was his cowboy life, his cattle and what he loves.
At the end of '95, the king of the cowboys watched from the sidelines as calf roper Joe Beaver won the all-around championship, ending Ty's 6-year reign. Ty was eager to get back to work and reclaim his title.
When I came back Then the next season in 1996, ready to ride, my legs were in as good a shape as they'd ever been in my career.
Comes back and he's kicking ass again immediately. He rehabbed harder than anyone ever. So if anyone deserved to be back, it was him.
Here's where I'm going to make a run for my 7th all-around, and I feel like things are going pretty well.
But 6 weeks into the season, things took a turn for the worse.
I got on a bull at a big bull riding event they had down in Del Rio, Texas. The bull was spinning pretty hard, so I was really having to use my free arm to help move my body weight in that direction. And when I did, I tore a ligament in my shoulder. And I just thought I kind of tweaked something, and I went to the next bull ride, and I ended up winning that event. But when I got done, my shoulder was just killing me. You know, sure enough, I need to get surgery done on it. And I'm going to be out another year. To miss 1 year was pretty devastating, and then to know that I was going to have to miss 2 years in a row, that was a pretty hard hit.
It came down to the very last day, the very last ride, the last bull.
If I stay on this bull, I'm the champ. If I don't, then I'm the chump.
6 all-around championships. Ty, of course, was plagued with injuries there for a couple of years. His career in the game sort of paralleled mine because I was out for 2 years with injuries, and people were feeling the same thing, that, well, you know, guy's over the hill, he's not going to make it back.
From the time he was a young boy, Ty Murray was dead set on becoming the greatest all-around cowboy the rodeo world had ever seen. In 1995, he was on the brink. But knee injuries would sideline Ty for the entire season, and when a shoulder injury derailed his comeback in '96, many doubted whether Ty would ever return to form.
I lost a major sponsor in that time. What they told us was, with those injuries, he's never going to be what he was, and we're out of here.
He was still young enough where he had a few years left in him, and he was still, no doubt, the very best cowboy out there.
Here was a kid that knew he was good, knew what he could do, and then when people start doubting you, do you start doubting yourself?
It has to be a difficult time on your mind. When your heart says go, your mind says yes, your body says, I can't. But he did.
When I started back in '97, I remember reporters and journalists would say, how do you feel, how do you feel? And I'd say, well, I don't really want to say nothing because last time, I was injured again before the ink dried on the article.
Ty started the season on a tear, winning the all-around in Fort Worth, Texas at the beginning of the year. The next week, in St. Louis, the unthinkable happened.
Holding that arm.
Ooh, boy, that's a new one.
That's his right arm.
When I put my arm out, I landed on my elbow, and my shoulder, instead of being up here, it was down here by where my elbow's at. I knew right away that it was a bad deal. I knew I was going to be out the year.
Season-ending surgery was required for the 3rd year in a row.
Right then, I thought, what's going on here?
I bawled all night. Why? Why now?
The majority of people did not believe that he would ever get that 7th world title.
Wouldn't you? 4 major operations, come back working the 3 roughest events in rodeo. Those doubts, do I feel like I can do this? They may always come into your mind. And for me, the answer was always yes.
In an effort to rehab and strengthen not just his shoulder, but his entire body, Ty trained with a martial arts expert in Stevensville.
We trained for probably 6 or 7 months together, and it got to where I couldn't get tired. Literally, I could do 2,000 sit-ups. Every day that he was sweating, he was thinking about that 7th world all-around.
Ty Murray is back in 1998 after a 3-year absence.
When I came back in '98, I felt great. Felt like I rode as good as I'd ever ridden in my life.
He did not back off in competition. He went back at it 105% in all 3 events.
The training that I had done and the way my body felt, I felt invincible, and I felt like it was my year.
Ty returned triumphantly to the season-ending NFR with a $40,000 lead in the all-around standings.
It is a big lead, but it can go away pretty fast because there's 10 rounds and each round pays $15,000 a night.
Competing in the saddle bronc and bull riding, Ty got off to a rough start.
Now, the first 9 horses I got on, 4 of them throwed me off.
But Ty would rebound.
Texas Ty Murray! Yes! Yes!
In the 9th round, he took 3rd place in the bull riding. Then in the final round of the saddle bronc, he finished 2nd.
Ty Murray, it is an honor to have you back in the arena.
But despite the 11th hour success, the race for the all-around was in a dead heat.
Coming into that 10th round, as far as I knew, I had to ride this bull. If I stay on this bull, I'm the champ. If I don't, then I'm the chump.
It came down to the very last day, the very last ride, the last bull.
Ty Murray, Ty.
I brought a bull by the name of Hard Copy, who was quite a bit larger than most bulls. He was a bull that I'd never been on, but I'd had a lot of success throwing guys off.
Going for an unprecedented 7th all-around championship and a 2nd bull riding title as well.
You know, I remember getting ready to get on him thinking, well, this is it. I really feel like I had a sense of calm come over me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have the right to push this man any harder than he's pushed himself. Texas Ty Murray today in the Hard Copy.
There's no way Hard Copy was going to buck him off that day or any other day.
It was beautiful. I think him and Hard Copy were both showing off.
Ty Murray, it's ready to ride!
Whistle blew. Man, it was the greatest feeling. I held both hands over my head, and at that point, the injuries and the setbacks and the worry, you know, I think really made that moment 10 times sweeter.
I was shaking all over. It was a very emotional night.
When I walked up to Ty after he'd just gotten off that bull and won his 7th championship, I said, I can't believe you did this to me, Ty. I was the king of the rodeo, and now I'm the queen of the rodeo just because of a lousy 8-second bull ride, man. How could you do this to me?
He had worked for it his whole life, and then that was it. He never had to win another one. And I was such a happy mom.
I was very proud of that young man.
A few minutes later, Ty came in and called me, and he said, there's only one person that knows what it feels like to win 7 all-around championships, and that's me.
He's still Ty Murray. He's still a cowboy. But in my eyes, he's the king of the cowboys.
He's a stand-up guy in a world of flakes, you know. John Wayne was an actor. Ty really is John Wayne.
After winning 7 all-arounds and 2 bull riding championships on the PRCA, Ty concentrated his efforts on the professional bull riding tour, a property that Ty and his fellow bull riders started themselves.
Back in 1992, we had an idea for bull riding to be a standalone sport. It's the best of the best guys, just the best of the best bulls. Well, in '99, I decided to, shift my focus strictly to the PBR. It was fun to be a part of that and watching the sport of bull riding start to grow.
In that same time period, Ty's personal life began to grow as well. He began a relationship with rock and roll singer Jewel.
Jewel and I met in 1999 in Denver. She was there doing a show and I was there riding.
I had a night off and the rodeo was in town. My dad was the all-around champion of Alaska, and I'd never been to a big rodeo like they have down here in the States, and so I thought it'd be fun.
A friend of mine who was friends with a friend of hers introduced us. We started talking on the phone and we just kind of hit it off.
Kind of recall each other in about 8 or 9 months we had a first date.
We get along really well. We understand each other really well.
He's a stand-up guy in a world of flakes, you know. John Wayne was an actor. Ty really is John Wayne.
To outsiders, seeing the Hollywood girl with the rodeo cowboy, it looks like a misfit.
Ty and I aren't that different, and I don't think our worlds are that different. You know, rock and roll and rodeo are very similar passions.
We keep pretty low profile. You know, we're not the big party goers.
He gets more recognized at airports than I do. Businessman-y lawyer type, I'll walk in and just, you know, start slobbering and snotting and can't, you know, I'm like, you're Ty Murray, I can't believe it. And I think he would prefer nobody came up to him and only came up to me, frankly. We both should probably be, you know, taking Paxil or whatever for social anxiety disorder. We're both incredibly shy.
In 2001, Ty and Jewel collaborated on their first musical endeavor.
It's leaving time again, I'm headed out with all my friends.
We wrote it, and I think it would have took her about 5 minutes, but being as I was involved, it took us a couple of days.
He wrote all the curse words, and it's about him and Cody and Ty thinking about retiring at that time. Go till we get too old or we run out of road.
I'm maybe the only songwriter in history to only write one song and it sells several million copies.
In 2002, Ty felt he had reached the end of the road in his career, and he retired from riding altogether. He is still actively involved with the PBR, but he spends most of his time on his ranch with his parents.
I felt like I had done everything that was driving me throughout my career. So I couldn't really see an upside for me of staying out there. There was so much at the ranch that I'd rather be doing.
His mom and I are really grateful because he made it possible for us to be here and spend our time with him.
I could see my kid every day and ride every day and have this beautiful place. I'm probably the luckiest mom in the world.
Ty's rodeo career lasted almost 15 years. It gave him everything he'd ever dreamed of, and he was more than willing to give back to the sport that dubbed him King of the Cowboys.
Ty has elevated the world of rodeo by taking it outside of the rodeo world. He did a good job of communicating what the sport was all about.
If I could clone somebody, I'd put a touch of Ty Murray in every cowboy that ever put on a hat and a pair of boots.
Ty was a cowboy when he got here, and that's what he's going to be when he leaves. The very best rodeo cowboy that's ever been.
I'm really happy and really content. All I have to do is what I want to do. I feel more fortunate for that than anything in the world. It's hard to say what the future holds, but I'll be a cowboy if I live to be 100. Who knows? I may go middle-aged crazy and give me a Corvette and some gold chains and start going to discos. Who knows?